So we are back with 7 secrets. Jesus Christ, I put out a poll and I did not expect all of you, or rather most of you, to hit this series. It's fantastic and it only gets more crazy, more awesome, and more bloody. If you are confused about 7 secrets, check out my description below. I would add a playlist link so you guys could catch up. Right now, let's get into it real quick. Alright, so from where we left off, Casper was lost in a dimension between dimensions. His mother and the keeper of the second secrets were looking for him because he was lost in somewhere that no other person is meant to get lost at. Because if you stay there for too long, you start to change. This is when we see that the ear of his second holder was actually elf-like. That's a big hint for what is to come. Anyways, Casper was running for his life because he thought he was about to die. He really wasn't, but he didn't know that. He was scared. Running towards an island, he realized that, hey, if that's an island, what surrounds an island? Then he realized that he was actually running on water all this time. But thankfully, Casper could swim. He swam and he kept swimming, while the fairies just kept walking towards him closer and closer, while the island kept getting farther and farther. Running out of energy, he sank beneath the surface, and we see that what he met below was a horse with the back end of a fish, and this horse was rude, asking him straight up, bruh, are you crazy? You ain't got no gills. What the hell are you doing in this water? Grab hold. After Casper grabbed hold of the horse took him to land and say, stay on this land, bitch ass. It was so funny when he finally gained composure though. This was a very beautiful place. But as soon as he realized that the fairies were behind him, he stood to fight. But they just walked past because they believed he was home. This apparently was a place that felt so familiar to him. He was shocked that he didn't know what this place was. But they made it clear that, bruh, this is where you were raised. 15 years ago, when they brought you as an infant, you could not stay in the real world. You were part of the order, so you had to be trained. You had to be kept somewhere. And they kept you here, in this magical land filled with wonders and legends. They hoped you'd be safe, but bruh, you were more than safe. Your life was fun. From the day you were born till the day you left, you had fun every single day. You ate with kings and queens. You trained with fairies and myths. You even got trained by one of the best leaders of the world, the king of Camelot, Arthur himself, and you bested him in combat. And the day you got curious about the outside world, that was the day you left. And you left walking off a cliff. But before he could do it, his mother stopped him because he was entranced. These freaking fairies were cajoling this guy to walk off a cliff. And finally, they decided, man, he is taking way too long. And they straight up pushed him off a freaking cliff. But his mother was not going to let that happen. She ran with all her speed. She was a freaking keeper after all. Thankfully, he didn't fall. And when she got there, she said, step away from my son, now. And they looked at her and said, your son, we raised him. We will not let you take him again. Never. Attacking his mom. But Ava stood on business, shooting shots directly at their head. But these fairies were fast and they could fight. But Ava could fight as well. Everything was about to come to a head because she was going to give them kill shots till she heard stop. Her son was okay, and he remembers them. He remembers the kindness they showed him. He remembers that he was loved. But he cannot stay here. He had a mission. He was a holder now, and his place was with his mother. So before he could leave, they gave him the blade he was so accustomed to using when he was here. On the boat ride back, he asked his mom straight up, what are you hiding from me? And she said, there's some things I cannot tell you right now, but I will eventually tell you. But for now, ask me what you need to know. And he asked, why were there so many world leaders at my father's burial? And she made it clear, we have been diplomats, we have been assassins, we have controlled nations, we have broken nations. The keepers and the holders don't just protect secrets, we protect the world. Then he asked her his final question, who am I? And she said, of course, you're my son. And he asked again, am I something else? And she said, you are the holder of the 7 secrets. For now, that is enough. And before they knew it, they were back with their friends. Everyone was happy to see he was alive because they all thought he was dead. Some didn't even hug him at all. and some just focused on the amazing blade he was holding. But for now, they had to go back to the real world because something was happening, something they did not expect. The world leaders were all being gathered, not for a meeting, no, for their own protection. All around the world, we see in England, we see in the US, all the leaders were being taken to safe places, even China, even Africa. The rich, they were leaving the planet entirely, going to Mars. And the regular man and women were watching their phones because something had transpired. Something massive enough to shake the whole world to its core. Something that terrified world leaders and every other person on this planet. As soon as they walked through the portal, they were greeted by corpses of the dead, and someone was waiting for them. Hold it, she said. You don't scream at the best fighters in the whole planet. They were all ready to take her out till she realized that she was part of the order, and so were they. She asked, how did all of you get here? And they answered it was a secret, and she smiled because she knew, yes, there's some things that nobody's meant to know. But she noticed that the leader of the organization wasn't here. And when she said that, the mood changed. Because right now they knew they had just lost their leader. Even the holder of the first secret expressed this anger by crushing the skull of Napoleon himself. And Amon was freed because he warned everybody this would happen, only to find out that the mission was a complete failure and they lost their whole army. He asked for the video of the mission and he saw what happened. He saw the portal being opened. He saw the holders and keepers escape. He saw his mother begging the seekers not to open the first secret, and they didn't listen. He saw his mother die. He wept because this was still his mother. And when the guard told him, why are you crying? She was the enemy. He instantly used the tablet to crush his skull. He beat him to a bloody pulp. Everyone mourns in different ways. And we see that the leader had finally told Ava a secret. One of them had betrayed everyone. But the holder of the first secret didn't want to hear that shit. He had something to check on. His secret had been unleashed, and he took everyone to see the result. She asked him what he was looking for, and he said he's not looking for anything. You'll know when you see it. And as soon as they turned on the TV, they saw what terrified everyone on Earth. Switzerland was gone. Literally off the map. Exactly what happened to Atlantis. The first secret was a continental killing weapon. The holder of the first secret was pissed off because he failed. His mission was not just to hold it, but to make sure it was never opened. Destruction incarnate in a box. He fell over because he had lost a lot of blood by losing his arm, and Ava had to take control. She was the new leader after all. So firstly, he had to be healed. So she ordered the doctor to fix him up. The keeper of the second secret was ordered to get transports, while the keepers of the third and fourth were ordered to secure this location, which they did spectacularly. They went out and just butchered every single person that worked for the Seeker in one night, and they were good. They took everyone out without causing a commotion or an incident. And when they came back, they reported that everyone was dead and the transportation was secured. Holders and keepers never fail, or at least they try to never fail. Everyone loaded onto the bus and they started to leave, but they were being chased by some seekers, and the kids wanted to go off, blasting them with guns, but nah, the holders do their things classy. No weapons. They pulled into an alley and everyone wore their seatbelts, and the keeper hit the brakes, allowing all the chasers to crash into the bus. Then everyone went out and killed everybody. I mean, they butchered every single seeker in sight easily because these guys were the best fighters in the world. Even Casper at 14 with his new blade split a bike in half. They were good. And this was just the start, because after they clear the path, we see Amon finally finishing his rampage. And he said, take me to your leaders. They're going to want to see me. And the henchman asked why. And he said, because I have a way to get all the remaining secrets. I have somebody on the inside. So there was a traitor. I bet you can't guess who the traitor is.